Hello students, I am Snehal Hegiste, Associate Professor in English. I welcome you in the class of TYBA Special English, paper number 16, Language and Linguistics. Last time we discussed first part of the module number 5, phrase. We discussed a noun phrase, function and structure of the noun phrase. There are 6 types of the phrases in English: noun phrase, genitive phrase, prepositional phrase, adverb phrase, adjective phrase, and verb phrase. Today I want to discuss with you the genitive phrase. The symbol that is used for genitive phrase is GP. G capital, P capital. Last time we have already discussed the conventions and symbols used for analyzing sentence as well as phrases and clauses. Brackets are, while analyzing phrases and clauses, we use brackets. We use round brackets for phrases. We use square brackets for clauses. And what are the particularly important symbol for sentence? Sentence begins with capital letter and ends with full stop. So these are certain conventions and symbols that we have discussed last time in the last semester also while discussing the chapter words. So we have also discussed that there are 4 important grammatical units of language. We started from words, then today we are discussing phrases. After that we will discuss clause and sentences. So we begin from word, then phrase, then clause, and then sentence. So sentence is the largest unit of language, while a word is the lowest unit of language. While discussing phrases, last time we discussed that there is a structure of a phrase, MHM. First M stands for pre-modifier, H for head, and second M stands for post-modifier. And we have discussed last time pre-modifiers of NP may be, head of NP may be, and post-modifiers of NP may be. So there are certain possibilities. We have discussed examples also. Today I want to discuss genitive phrase. Genitive, what is meant by genitive? Genitive is the word that is used for expressing idea of possession. With the help of genitive, we express which idea? Idea of possession. How we express this possession? Through possessive pronouns. Possessive, what is meant by possessive? In Marathi you say मालकी असणे, माझे असणे, माझे हक्काचे असणे, माझ्या possession मध्ये असणे, असा पण हा शब्द आपण वापरतो. So possession through possessive pronouns like my book. Whose book? My book. Possession. My symbolizes here possession. ते बुक कोणाच्या मालकीचं आहे? माझ्या मालकीचं आहे. My book, my, mine, his, her. Her car. Whose car? Her car. The car कोणाच्या मालकीची आहे? तिच्या मालकीची आहे. Her car. So these are the possessive pronouns that are used while constructing genitive phrase. So GP, G capital, P capital. GP is the symbol used for genitive phrase. We use NP, N capital, P capital for noun phrase. And while discussing genitive phrase, keep in mind the symbol that is used GP. So genitive, do you get the meaning of the genitive? Genitive expresses here possession, and possession is expressed through possessive pronouns like my, mine, his, her, etc., etc. So while discussing the structure and function of the phrases, first of all we can discuss function. There are two important functions of the genitive phrase, particularly in the NPs. Genitive phrase functions in NPs. Which are that two functions? First function is that of a pre-modifier and second one is a head. So these are the two important functions that are particularly played by GP in which phrase? In NPs. First of all, we can discuss certain examples uh, of pre-modifiers. GP or genitive phrase functioning as a pre-modifier in which phrase? In noun phrase. In the example number A, we have my pen. My pen, you have bracketed my pen in a round bracket. A round bracket is a symbol or we bracket phrases in round brackets, okay? We enclose phrases in round brackets. So my pen is a noun phrase. After recognizing that phrase, we can give labels, internal labels, my. Again, there is a round bracket for my, which is GP, genitive phrase, functioning as a pre-modifier. Pre-modifier of what? Pre-modifier of a pen, which is a head, which is a head of noun phrase, because pen is a noun. And we find that this phrase is noun phrase. My pen is originally noun phrase. In this phrase there is another phrase enclosed, that one is a genitive phrase, and we have enclosed it in a round brackets, that is my. So my comes before pen and pen is the head. So my, what is the function of my? My functions here as a pre-modifier because it comes before head, which is the head of this phrase. Pen is the head. So in the first example we discussed that genitive phrase functions as a pre-modifier in which phrase? In noun phrase. In the same way, in the second example, we have Sita's dress. We have used here particle yes. We call it apostrophe yes. Whose dress? Sita's dress. Sita's dress is a noun phrase. We enclosed it in round bracket. After that, while enclosing internal words, Sita's. Sita's is here again genitive phrase functioning as a pre-modifier of which head? Dress. Dress is here head word. Dress, what is the grammatical category or grammatical class of the dress? Dress is a noun. Dress is a noun. So, dress functions here as a head in which phrase? Sita's dress. Sita's dress is a noun phrase. So, we discussed that genitive phrase functions as a pre-modifier in noun phrase. Then again in the third example, her suggestion. Head word is again suggestion. Suggestion is a noun. Her suggestion is a noun phrase. We enclosed it, her suggestion, in a round bracket, and we have given label below that particular bracket, that is a NP noun phrase. In noun phrase again GP functioning here as a pre-modifier of which head? Suggestion. And what is the grammatical category of suggestion? Suggestion is here noun. In the first example, pen, what is the grammatical class? Or we can say formal label. Formal label is a noun and function label is a head word. Okay. In the second example, formal label for dress is a noun and function label is a head. In this noun phrases, genitive phrase functions as a pre-modifier. After discussing first function of the GP in a noun phrase, we can discuss second function, that is GP as a head in noun phrase. Genitive phrase functioning as a head in noun phrase. So in the example A, there is a sentence, this was the best idea. This was the best idea. In this particular sentence, there is a round bracket. The GP is enclosed in particularly round bracket. Which word is enclosed? This. And this here is a GP, genitive phrase, functioning as a head. This is dummy word, or we can say that is used for the best idea. This was the best idea. Okay, so this here denotes what type of the phrase? GP, but it is head word. This single word here contains GP. Again, we have given which label? Out of that particular round bracket, we have given label NP. Okay, in noun phrase, genitive phrase functions here as a head. In the second example, it is yours. Again, yours. Yours is talking about possession. GP. Yours is here genitive phrase, but functioning as a head. It is single word and it is head. So when you talk about structure of the phrases, very important word is a head. Without head, there will not be any phrase. Okay. So modifiers are sometimes optional, sometimes they are obligatory. Okay. But what is 100% obligatory? Head is obligatory. So in the structure of the phrase, head word is very important. So second function of the genitive phrase is a head. In which phrase? Again, in noun phrase. Two examples we have here discussed. First one is this was the best idea, and second one, it is yours. So again, keep in mind, genitive phrase denotes possession. We have discussed here, we use genitive, that word, expressing idea of possession. Possessionचा अर्थ काय आहे? मालकी असणे. माझ्या मालकीचं आहे. My, mine, his, her. So the structure of GP. We have discussed function first of all. After discussing function of the GP, we will discuss today here structure of the GP. When you discuss about the structure of GPs, GPs are just like NPs. What is the difference between GPs and NPs? Except that they end with particle yes. Okay, apostrophe yes. That is the difference between NP and GP. You can only add apostrophe s to the noun phrase, and you can see that what is the structure of the GP. GP is equal to NP plus apostrophe yes. Okay, which is not always separately pronounced, but that apostrophe s is not used 100%. Instead of apostrophe s, we use possessive pronouns my, mine, her, his. In above examples, we have discussed some possessive pronouns are irregular in that they function as GPs, but we do not end in apostrophe s. My, for example, my should not end with mice. My is sufficient to tell you possession. We don't want apostrophe s. Okay, so we don't use apostrophe s to denote possession. For these possessive pronouns, there is no need. My, mine, it, her, etc. do not end in apostrophe s. So what is the structure of the GP? GPs are just like NPs. Only what is the difference? GPs are introduced with apostrophe s or possessive pronouns. What are the examples here? First example, his uh, his mother. So in the first example, his mother, which is the head word again, mother is the head word. What is the formal label for mother or grammatical class of the mother is here? Noun. And that's why it is a noun phrase. In the noun phrase, noun is the head. Now, his, there is a round bracket around that word his. His here shows you possession. Whose mother? His mother. Possession. ती कोणाची आई आहे? त्याची आई आहे. His mother. His here GP, genitive phrase, again functioning as a pre-modifier of mother. Mother is here head word. Again in the second example, my pen. माय पेन, हुज पेन? माय पेन. हा कोणाच्या ताब्यातला पेन आहे या कोणाच्या मालकीचा पेन आहे? माझ्या मालकीचा. माय इज हिअर जीपी. अगेन वी हॅव एनक्लोज्ड इट इन अ राउंड ब्रॅकेट, but this gp functions as a pre-modifier of which head? Pen. Pen is again grammatical category of pen is noun functioning as a head. Okay, noun is a head of which phrase? My pen. So these two examples tell you structure of gp, that of a his mother and my pen. So these are the two examples that tell you structure of gp. gp's are just like np's. So while discussing phrases, you should first of all study very carefully our first phrase, that is noun phrase. Okay, noun phrase is very important. Read the structure, function that last time we have discussed. So after discussing genitive phrase, okay, what we have discussed here in the genitive phrase? First of all, we discussed the function. There are two important functions of the genitive phrase. First one is a GP functioning as a pre-modifier in NP, and second one is a GP functioning as a head of noun phrase. After that, we discussed that structure of GP is just like a NP, except that they end with particle yes. So